Hello friends, it's Chromatic Sauce and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing the final part of my... Wait, is it the final part? Maybe it's the second part of my tattoo moth cover-up. Let me check. Oh yes, I split it into 3 parts. I'm sorry guys. I forgot I split it up. It's because they're too long. Do you guys want me to talk about this stuff for like... Here's my dilemma. Okay, because no one's commenting. I want you to give me input, guys. So in the background of these videos, sometimes like if it's 5 hours of tattooing, I gotta fast forward the video to like 800% for these videos to be like 2 parts and 15 minutes each part. But then sometimes it'll be more like 15 minutes and then 20 minutes, or like, you know, long videos. And it's like, do you guys care that the background of these videos, I'm going really fast? Like, would you prefer more of like slower clips of the process? That sounds like a freaking lot of work, but I would totally be down if you guys are interested in something else. Or do you like how it's done? Like, would you prefer just like 40 minutes straight of me reacting to like my own tattoo, like an hour straight? Do you mind it being fast? Definitely let me know your perspective in the comments below. And along with that, don't forget, I'm down for constructive criticism, but anything rude, not cool. Constructive criticism only. I can take it, but definitely don't be rude to my clients or anything like that. I won't have that business. But yeah, definitely comment down below. Let me know what you think. Do you mind it sped up? Do you like the real time? If you don't know, I have real time footage. There's just no talking over it. So definitely check out that playlist if you want to see some real time action. It's just songs in the background. But yeah, let's just like, without further ado, let's get into the cover up. The moth, the tiger, Lilly and tiger moth cover up. Well, we're not covering that. We're covering stuff underneath. I feel like you get what I mean. Yeah, we're just doing the color today. Everything besides the white, I think we're doing today. So let's just get into it. So in the previous video, I said I would talk about the lines in this video. In the previous video, I did the lines. I said in that video, I just filmed that. I don't remember exactly what liner I used. I think I used probably like a standard 14 round liner for like the bolder lines. Basically, I was going for like bolder lines, then a medium, and then a smaller line, now that I'm like thinking about it. So I think it was maybe like a 14 round liner. And then the next stage down, I did a 9 round liner. Or like probably like a bug pin 5 round liner, or like a standard 9 round liner, not 5 for that one. So like the moth has that boulder line, maybe the lilies have the boulder line too, and then like the medium size like leaves have the 9 round liner kind of thing. That's usually how I break it up. I try to do like at least 3 line weights. I definitely usually use more than 1 line weight. Even when I try to do traditional, I'm like, it's really hard to not use more than 1 line weight. Because I get the appeal of traditional, but I'm also just like, there's so many more liners. And I don't have a coil machine, so why would I restrict myself? But if the client wants it, we can do it. Usually I'll ask like how true traditional they want to stay. And usually they don't care too much. But yeah, I definitely like a neo-traditional look a lot of the time, where it's like multiple line weights, you know, thick and then to thin, because I really like the contrast that it gives. And especially for this tattoo, there's a lot of dark lines underneath, so I definitely wanted to have those like bolder, like slightly bolder, fatter black lines to like give more of a solid structure to the tattoo besides the tattoo underneath, so it stands out in spite of what's going on underneath. You know what I mean? So we had some challenges with the design, like I said in the previous video, with the words and the banners. I wanted to lay the moth over it more to the point where it would break up the banner, break up that dagger as much as possible. That way it could stand out more. I mentioned in the last video that I chose this moth because it had a lot of dark shapes in it, that I felt like those dark shapes would really break up the background, so that when I lay in white, even if the dark shapes in the background the white's going to be in the last video, but even if those dark shapes in the background show through, like from the previous tattoo, the white over top is automatically going to give them a gray cast. So if we got those black shapes, and then even if it shows up like a lightened black, we're still going to have contrast. The moth will still have like an effect of like popping out a little bit more, because it has that dark background, that dark shadow underneath to disguise the bottom banner and to break up the shadow from that bottom banner, like we already had some darkness there. The biggest challenge for me for this design, besides like just the distinct shapes in the dagger, was just how low the dagger came, because like I was saying in the last video, I didn't want to make the tattoo too much larger than like the shape of her arm. Wait, I can't make it larger than her arm. I didn't want to make it too much larger than the gap that the original tattoo already was in. Mostly because of the tattoo that I laid like in the background last year. That's going to be way harder to cover. It's way more fresh. And we're not trying to cover that one. She likes that one, and she wanted to cover the one on the top. So I'm like, it's not really going to do her service to wrap something around to try to cover parts of that tattoo. So we could only really work in this really long, narrow shape. And then I wanted to keep the moth at an angle, like I said in the last video. Definitely check it out. Go into a little more detail. I just ramble a lot. But the moth at the angle to break up those lines, but the dagger coming out of the bottom was the biggest challenge to like creatively like cover it. But I didn't want it to be like heavy. Like I didn't want the whole tattoo to just be packed solid with blacks, grays, and whites. Because when you're doing a cover up in black and gray, it has to be opaque. So that's a little bit heavier of a feel than like a gray wash tattoo, where their skin breaks. Like a gray wash is more like watercolor, where it's a diluted pigments. Like if you swipe a watercolor brush on the paper, you can see the paper through it. It doesn't show up like it does in the pan. If you add more water, it's a lighter version of that color. The same thing with black and gray usually. It's just diluted black ink. That's how black and gray normally is. Some people mix in a drop or two of white. That's a whole different thing. But black and gray is usually brushing with washes and layering it up till it's the saturation and depth of shadow that you need to have a solid tattoo. But so for a cover up in this capacity anyway, obviously I can't just black out the whole tattoo. It's not small enough to just like black out a section or anything. So we just had to go right over it, do the contrast. But I wanted to keep all that negative like skin, like she just had untattooed skin by her wrist and up at the top. So I wanted to, as much as possible, leave that open. So there's some parts where like the original tattoo aren't fully covered by like, or like they're not fully like encompassed by the line work of the other tattoo, and they're covered in like, they're covered like just not with solid black. They're just not covered with line work. And there's a part of the bottom where the Lilly isn't like fully packed with like grays and stuff. I just put a lighter like gray and white and played around a little bit with darker grays to try to break up the texture of the knife at the bottom. So she might need to come back for that to be like touched up a little bit. I imagine there's going to be a few parts that need a little bit of attention once this heals and settles in, as with the majority of cover-ups. But I felt like hiding that dagger while still keeping it as open as possible was like the biggest challenge for me. And then it's just a matter of like making sure the stencil's big enough to like actually cover it. I originally printed the stencil probably like 2 or 3 inches too short. Maybe that's an exaggeration. It was too small, and I'm like, you have to recognize that like I drew this to fit and it's not quite fitting. So I'm really happy with the way I was able to lay it on. I feel like it covered it really well. There's a couple spots at the bottom and at the top that's poking out a little bit, but I feel like the way I covered it was effective enough. And then if it comes back, we can like regroup and pack in more grays, or like play around what's showing through, what's not, what do we actually need to do. But then we still have those skin breaks in the Lilly at the top and the Lilly on the bottom, so it's not like the entirety of the tattoo was packed solid with color, which is like a telltale sign of a cover-up, which, like I said in the last video, a little bit of a challenge for this one because the original tattoo is pretty, not like densely packed. I explained in the last video, it doesn't have like a ton of skin breaks. Like I couldn't utilize much in the way of skin breaks in the middle of her forearm just because of everything that was going on. It just made more sense to just embrace the white and pack it solid and make it pop. Yes, when I started coloring this one after the line work, I made sure the line work was like as bold as I could get it. You know, I'm always taking my time with the lines, trying to make sure they're solid. I always tell people, if anything heals different than you expect, definitely come back for a touch-up if you need. I mean, the cover-up in general, I already told her to anticipate it might take more than one session to like fully finish the cover-up. But we were able to finish it this session. It just might need a little once-over. What was I even talking about? Putting black in the tattoo. I did the outline. I made sure the shading around the moth was really dark. I made sure that the shapes in the moth were saturated. Because there's no point in doing a cover-up if you're not really putting your blacks in as dark as you can, so that it really disguises what's underneath. Because imagine what's underneath shows through your black. And, you know, if it did show through, we could add that to the second session of the cover-up. But generally, especially since this was a cover-up, I was not afraid to like go in with the dark. I feel like I tend to go, if anything, too light with my tattoos. At least for me, I'm always criticizing myself. What can I do better? How can I improve in the tattoos in the future? And the answer is usually I could have gone darker. I could have had more contrast. So especially for the cover-up, I wasn't being too afraid to just like go a little darker with it than maybe I would have. Especially because it's a little bit scary tattooing over a tattoo because it just gets darker kind of thing. Like there's already stuff underneath, so it's kind of hard to see with the black ink smeared everywhere. But you need your tattoo and their blacks to be stronger and bolder than the tattoo underneath. So you have to make sure you get those blacks in there, get that contrast in your tattoo. Otherwise, the tattoo underneath is going to show through. Like if it's a dark tattoo that they didn't like, it's dark. We gotta cover it. So that's my objective. Pack the color, let it heal. Does it need more? Pack the color a little bit more. I don't have the most experience, but my mentor taught me a lot about, well, maybe not a lot about cover-ups. He taught me about cover-ups, like what he knows. He's done his fair share of cover-ups. And basically, from what I've heard, gray is not a bad choice for covering. I've had pretty good experiences with it. You know, there's always like a little bit of going back, but I haven't had anyone's like be upset about anything. So I would probably tend to agree that grays make pretty good for cover-ups. There are some colors like red, see-through. There's just some inks that are see-through anyway, like magentas tend to be like see-through, yellows, everything's going to show through that. So the white, like even though the ink might show through a little bit, it does a better job of like masking the color underneath. It's like a primer, like a paint primer. So like doing a gray cover-up or like a solid like opaque with whites cover-up could be a better first step if you do want to sort of dive into colors a little bit more, because it's just like putting a base primer, like if you have something dark, putting a little bit of white down will make that color pop a little bit more. I don't know. I'm just talking about cover-ups and colors. There's not even any color in this tattoo besides gray. But yeah, I wasn't afraid to go dark with the shading. I made sure, along with the dots in the lilies, like those little like pollen-y dots or whatever, I made sure I also added in black shading in them. Like I said, you need the dark so it stands out. If the lily did not have any black shading, then those black lines of like the dagger, any of the little leaves coming through, that would be the darkest thing in the lily. Like the lily needs black shadows so it kind of like has a chance to stand out over any of the tattoos underneath. That way that has a more distinct shape. That's how I think of it. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well. And I tried to keep the middle as bright as I could because the photo references I was using had like a bright center. So I tried to get that dark edge and a bright center. And then I just packed in dark gray inside the body, or inside the wings, the bottom wings of the moth, to sort of like disguise where there wasn't like black shapes on the wings. I wanted to make sure it had the darkness that it needed so that the skin breaks didn't show through white if there was like a light gray. It had like that dark base to sort of match the tone of the black that's right next to it from the previous tattoo. But yeah, so I layered in dark grays and then light grays, definitely trying to make sure I'm packing the color over top of anywhere that there's a tattoo underneath already. And like I said, with this lily at the bottom, that is actually, no, it's not really cut off. I just tried to add like shading texture with some of those dark grays, in hopes to sort of like disguise the shape of the knife at the bottom, so it sort of looks like maybe lines on the lily, like it's an illustration or a tattoo design of a lily, like there's lines and outlines. Like if it does show through, it'll be lighter, a little more blurred. Basically, that's the way lines would go on a lily. So I kind of just laid that dagger in there. Let me know what you think of this tattoo so far. I feel like even without any white in the tattoo, I'm very happy with the turnout. And I know that laying white in the parts where it's meant to like pop out more will definitely help it pop. I'm happy with like a lot of my highlights where there are like skin breaks. Because I don't feel like I need that much in the middle. I mean, like I didn't have much to work with anyway, but I'm happy with like the top of the like fur on the back. Like that sort of has a light edge. Basically, I'm happy with the way that it laid, and I think you wouldn't necessarily even know that it was a cover-up just from looking at it now. Like maybe it looks a little bit tonal, a little bit dark in the middle, just because it's a cover-up. Like there's not a lot of skin breaks under there, but basically I feel you already can't see the design even without the white pops to like really like make it stand out a little bit more. And I'm really happy with what I was able to do. Definitely 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 tune into the next video where I pack the white and finish out this cover up. Definitely comment down below if you have any constructive criticism. You know, if we can share knowledge, like if you know how to do, if you're a tattoo artist, constructive criticism. If you're not a tattoo artist, definitely no constructive criticism about technique anyway. Like definitely feel free. I don't know. I'm open to input. I'm just rambling. Open to constructive criticism, open to any comments you have. Definitely, especially if there's compliments, because that's super nice to hear. That my clients can like see nice things about themselves. Oh. I'm so weird. Like I said, comment down below. Don't forget to like this video. It really helps me out with the engagement and with the algorithm. Even if you just comment like, hi Candence, I'd be down. I appreciate the engagement. And even if you share this video, you can just press share and copy a link. I think that helps in the algorithm. At least that's what I've heard. Or you can actually share it with someone if you want. But I understand. We can keep it real. Don't forget to check out my website, chromaticsauce.com, to see more of my work. And if you want a tattoo from me, you can fill out my booking form. And check out my Instagram at Chromatic Sauce. I just hit 3,000 followers. Who knows where I'm at now, because I don't know when this video is going up. But thanks to everyone who follows, and definitely go add yourself to that list. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you. See you in the next one. Bye!